Picture this. It's Monday morning. The entire office is buzzing about yesterday's game. The incredible comeback, the controversial call, the record that was broken, and you're standing there with your coffee, nodding along, waiting for literally any other topic. They don't know who won the Super Bowl, can't name the teams in the playoffs, have no idea what happened in last night's game. And they're not pretending, they're not being contrarian, they genuinely don't care. And there's a psychology behind why some people feel nothing when everyone else is screaming at a screen. You know them, the person who goes silent during March Madness discussions, who has nothing to contribute when the office talks about the game, who watches the Super Bowl commercials and leaves when the game comes back on. They're not trying to be different, they're not anti-fun, they just don't get it. Not in a judgmental way, they understand the rules, they know why it matters to others, they just can't make themselves care about strangers throwing balls, hitting pucks or running in circles, and when everyone else is living and dying by a scoreboard, they're wondering, why does this matter so much? They smile and nod, pretend to understand the excitement, but inside, they're counting down the minutes until the conversation shifts. Because admitting you don't care is social suicide. Some of them tried, really tried, maybe their dad wanted them to play Little League, but they were the kid in right field picking dandelions, praying the ball wouldn't come their way. They learned, sports are something you're supposed to love, but I never did. Every practice felt like an obligation, and when they finally quit, they felt relief, not regret. Others grew up in households where sports were religion. Sundays meant football, summers meant baseball, arguments over referees, superstitions about lucky shirts. But they'd sit on the couch, watching their family scream at a TV, and feel nothing. No adrenaline, no investment, just confusion about why this mattered more than everything else. That's when they realized, I'm missing something everyone else has, and some just never started. No sports culture in their family, no peer pressure to fake enthusiasm. They'd hear people passionately debating stats and trades, and think, you could apply this energy to anything else. And that disconnect never closed. I remember being at a Super Bowl party in college. Everyone was screaming, jumping, high-fiving strangers, and I was watching them, not the game, trying to understand what they were feeling, why a touchdown by people they'd never meet mattered so much. Someone turned to me and said, "Can you believe that play?" And I smiled and said, "I know, right?" But I couldn't tell you what happened. I was thinking about the essay I had due. Anything but the game. I felt like an alien trying to understand human emotion. Not because I lack emotion, I get passionate about things, books, music, ideas. But a ball going through a hoop, a puck crossing a line, I can't make it matter. And the more I tried to force it, the more isolated I felt. So I stopped trying. Psychologists recognize the pattern. Low tribal affiliation combined with outcome independence. Not a disorder, just different wiring. Most sports fandom is rooted in tribalism. You pick a team, and their wins become your wins. Their losses become your losses. It's vicarious achievement. For people who don't watch sports, that mechanism doesn't activate. They can't feel proud of something they didn't do. Can't feel devastated by something they didn't control. Their self-worth isn't tied to external outcomes, especially ones they have zero influence over. There's also a pattern with people who value control and agency. Sports require surrendering to chance. You can't change the outcome. You can only watch and react. Why invest emotional energy in something I can't affect? And here's what gets missed. Many non-sports people are highly engaged in other areas. They're just selective. They'd rather participate than spectate. They'd rather play guitar badly than watch someone else play it perfectly. Rather create something mediocre than consume someone else's excellence. But there's a price for not caring. Sports are social currency, especially for men. If you can't talk about the game, you're left out of huge chunks of conversation. Office small talk? Sports. Hanging out with family? Sports. First dates? Networking events? Sports are the universal safe topic. And if you have nothing to contribute, you're invisible. I've watched conversations happen around me, literally around me, like I'm furniture, because I can't participate in the one thing bonding everyone else. People assume you're boring, or pretentious, or secretly judging them. But you're not. You're just quiet because you have nothing to add. And dating. I don't really watch sports is code for I'm not a real man in some circles. There's also the guilt, the sense that you're letting people down. Your dad who wanted to share this with you. Your friends who invite you to watch parties, knowing you'll say no. You're not trying to be difficult. You just can't fake passion you don't feel. But people who don't watch sports aren't missing out. They're different. They reclaim time. The average sports fan spends 6-8 hours per week watching games. Over a year, that's 300-400 hours. Over a lifetime, that's years. Non-sports people redirect that time into learning skills, building things, deepening relationships that matter. They're less tribalistic. They don't divide the world into us versus them based on jersey colours. They don't feel rage towards strangers because they support the wrong team. They think independently. Sports culture is deeply conformist. You inherit your team. You're told who to root for. Non-sports people are comfortable standing outside group thinking. They don't need to belong to the tribe to feel whole. And here's the strength people miss. They're present for other things. While everyone else is glued to the playoffs, they're available for conversations, for experiences, for moments that don't involve a screen and a scoreboard. They're not better, they're just operating on a different frequency. To be clear, this isn't about judging sports fans. If sports bring you joy, community, excitement, that's valid, that's beautiful. The problem isn't sports. The problem is the assumption that everyone should care, that not caring makes you defective, boring, and indifference isn't the same as contempt. They're not taking anything away from you by not participating. They're just asking for the same respect sports fans get, the right to care about what they care about without being told they're wrong. You don't have to love everything everyone else loves. The psychology of people who don't watch sports isn't about superiority or rebellion. It's about recognizing that not everyone is wired to care about the same things. They're not missing the sports gene. They're not broken. They're not boring. They just care about different things. And in a world that treats sports fandom as mandatory, that takes courage. If you're one of them, you already know this. You've smiled through 1,000 sports conversations you didn't care about, pretended to understand references you didn't get. You don't owe anyone fake enthusiasm. You're allowed to spend your passion on things that actually move you, whether that's art, science, service, creation, or nothing at all. Your disinterest doesn't make you less, it makes you honest, and that's rarer than people think. Here's what nobody talks about: the loneliness of being wired differently. It's not just about missing conversations, it's about questioning yourself. Wondering if something's wrong with you, because you can't feel what everyone else feels so naturally. You watch people bond instantly over a shared team, form friendships over fantasy leagues, create memories around championship wins. And you wonder, what am I missing? Why can't I access this source of connection that seems so effortless for everyone else? Some non-sports people spend years trying to force it, picking a random team, watching games they don't enjoy, memorizing stats they don't care about, all to fit in, all to stop feeling like the outsider. But forced passion isn't real passion, and pretending to care is exhausting. The freedom comes when you stop apologizing for what you don't feel, when you realize that your interests, your passions, your way of connecting with the world, they're just as valid. You're not required to care about the same things as the majority. You're not obligated to find meaning where others find it, and the people worth having in your life, they won't judge you for it. So here's the truth for anyone who's ever felt like an outsider in a sports-obsessed world. Your passions matter, even if they're not mainstream. Even if they don't fill stadiums or dominate Monday morning conversations. The energy you save by not following sports, you're spending it somewhere else, on creating something, learning something, building something, connecting with people in ways that feel authentic to you. And that's not a deficit, that's a choice. Maybe you're the person who can name every book in a series but not a single player on the local team. Maybe you know obscure historical facts, can identify birds by their songs, or lose yourself in philosophy or art or code. Maybe your passion is quiet. Doesn't come with crowds or merchandise or championship rings, but it's yours, and it's real, and it deserves the same respect that sports fandom gets. The world needs people who care deeply about things that aren't on ESPN, who invest their energy in creating rather than spectating, who find community in places that have nothing to do with a scoreboard. If you're one of these people, you're not alone. There are millions of us. We're just not as loud. We're not wearing jerseys or painting our faces or gathering in sports bars. But we're here, living full, passionate, engaged lives, just on our own terms. And if you've ever felt guilty for not caring about the game, let this be your permission to stop. You don't owe anyone enthusiasm you don't feel. You don't have to justify your interests or apologize for your indifference. You're allowed to be exactly who you are, to care about what you care about, to find meaning in places the mainstream overlooks. That's not rebellion, that's authenticity. And in a world of performed passion and forced enthusiasm, that's revolutionary. Do you not watch sports? What's something you're actually passionate about that gets a fraction of the cultural attention sports do? Drop it in the comments. Let's celebrate what actually matters to us. If this made you feel less alone, hit subscribe. We get it. And if you've ever felt like an outsider for not caring about the game, leave a like. You're not the problem, the expectation is. Because the world is big enough for all of us, sports fans and non-sports people alike. We're all just trying to find what moves us, and that's something everyone can understand.